Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Box. It is Wednesday, which is the Rassie Report days. If you're new to the channel, we have streamer content coming out at least 2 to 3 times a week, which is all dedicated to our national team. On Monday, we often do things sort of centered around a bit of a box barometer, which players are on the radar, for example, players that, play potential captains, that kind of thing. On Wednesday, we do the Rassie Report, which is basically the current sort of conundrum regarding Rassie Erasmus. But today we're going to be studying something slightly different. And we're going to be looking at who is the next Rassie Erasmus. Because we're now entering the last kind of 2 years, really, of the Rassie Erasmus era. And, he's set to take the box to the 2027 World Cup, but I'd be very surprised if he were to go any further than that. And what's going to be quite interesting is then going to be the succession afterwards. Who takes over the box? Is it going to be a promotion within? Is it going to be somebody within the South African current setup, somebody from overseas, an international coach maybe even in the future? So a very interesting topic, and I'm very interested to know what you think, what sort of candidate really catches your eye and will get you excited about taking over at the box. I think the main thing at the moment is that the current box staff are so good at creating the sort of succession, really, and bringing in players, people in and around the setup where there does seem to be a long-term agenda at all times. Bringing in Tony Brown, Jerry Flannery, for example, and somebody like Mandela Stick and Dion Davis. They've been involved now for a while, as has Andy Edwards, for example. Dwayne Vermeulen now getting a lot more experience. He's going to be a long-term coach within the SA Rugby setup. So there definitely does seem to be a lot of long-term planning. But the big question is the big man in charge, Rassie Erasmus, and how do you follow on from someone who, at the very least, will be going out with 2 Rugby World Cups as well as a British and Irish Lions series. He's looking to try and do the treble, the three-peat. That's what he's looking to try and do 2027. If he does, he'll go down as the greatest coach ever, really. So let's go look at some of the candidates, shall we? So first up, I'm going to look at if we were to promote within. And the leading name that has been along the lines for quite a while is Zwandile Stick. Now, he's had such a roller coaster of a career. Was plucked out of the EP Kings sort of system quite early and thrown into the box mix. A lot of people saying, they didn't really rate him and he didn't really deserve to be there. But since then, he's gone on to become such a crucial part of the Bok coaching staff, and he's been there for 2 Rugby World Cup wins. And I've never seen somebody sort of grow as much in the role as I have with Mandela Stick, and I think he's got the right temperament for a head coach. He's got a fantastic rapport with the players. You can see that all the players like him. He responds really well to them. He speaks really well in press conferences. He's quite, I wouldn't say aggressive, but he's quite firm with what he has to say. He doesn't shy away from issues, and he really does back himself as well. So I think he's got the right temperament. Whether can he lead a full box side? I think if he had the right assistants around him, I think he could. As I said, I think from a temperament point of view, I think he's good enough. I think the biggest thing obviously will be the people around him, and that's, to be fair, any sort of good head coach needs to have that kind of system. But obviously, he hasn't got as much head coach experience as sort of other people around there. Somebody who does have head coach experience actually within the setup is Dion Davis, who had a very good time at the EP Kings, not using a lot of resources. With the bare minimum, actually did a really good job there. So he could also potentially be an option. Long term, I think Dwayne Vermeulen, I think, is somebody who aspires to being Bok coach. Definitely won't be the next Bok coach. He's not going to take over at 40, 41 years old. I think he'll be whatever, and the likes of that. So if you then look at the sort of the South African climate and sort of the South African system at the moment, John Dobson was somebody who was highly rated, but is now going through a really tough time. Whether that, for example, has taken him out of the potential management, who knows? Something like Johan Ackerman is suddenly going to be part of the box setup, well, the South African rugby setup, where he's going to do a bit of a stint with the juniors in January, and he's going to kind of become a bit of a roving coach, I think. So I think he'll work with the box and potentially SAA sides. And the SAA side is always a good indication. He has taken the SAA side for before, but so has Mandela Stick, which is also an early indication that he is potentially being considered. Then you've got to go sort of outside South Africa, and there's 2 big South African names on the list. The first is that of Franco Smith, Glasgow Warriors. What a time he's had. He's a fantastic coach, as Franco Smith. Had a really good time at the Cheetahs for many years, and then went over to Italy, and I think he really sort of paved the way for what we're sort of seeing now. I think Italy have still not quite turned a corner, but I think a lot of the Italy success we've seen in the last couple of years in getting up to sort of third, the Six Nations table and the likes of that, have come from what he sort of put in place. He then took over the Glasgow Warriors, and he won the URC, and he won the URC away. So I think at the moment, Scotland will be looking at him as the potential replacement to Graham Townsend. And if not, I think he's got to be high up on the list of potential Bok coaches. Somebody else who I think is very high up on the list is Johan van Graan. He's incredibly quite young, considering how, he's been coaching since 2012. He's been South Africa forwards coach. So he's been part of the setup before. But he is 44 years old. So, he's been coaching for quite a long time, 12 years already. And his record speaks for himself. He moved to Munster and had a pretty good time there. But it's really his efforts at Bath, where he took over. They were absolutely nowhere, really. They had the worst season, one of the worst seasons they ever had. And they managed to get from there up until 8th in the season after, and they currently top the Premiership table with a 6-point lead over Bristol, including that demolition job they did in Saracens. So, I mean, he's basically turned Bath into the best side of the Premiership, and he's had to do a real sort of overhaul. And I think that's kind of probably what might be sort of so attractive, is the fact that he's not come into a system which is already built for success and just managed to carry on. He's really turned a team around, got them playing, brought in some smart signings, and they look like a fantastic team. And I think that he's going to be one of the top potential candidates, especially knowing that he's been involved in the South Africa setup as well. Then the question comes in sort of international coaches. Now, I don't think South Africa will not yet be sort of coached by an international coach. And I think it was, I want to say it was Eddie Jones or somebody who was saying basically you need to understand South Africans. I think it was actually might have been John Plumtree, to really be able to get the most out of them. And that's where I think an international coach becomes quite difficult in terms of the concept. And you look at coaches around the world, there are not too many people, for example, who would you sit there going, oh yes, that would be a perfect replacement. I don't see, for example, an Andy Farrell coming to coach the Boks. He's one of the best coaches in the world at the moment. So yeah, what do you guys think? And who would be your options? And if, for example, any of those options are your preferred candidates, where would you like to see in terms of other people involved? Somebody like a Jacques Ferrier, for example, would you like to see him as defense coach? Somebody like a Norman Laker from the Stormers, is he somebody you'd like to see involved? There's lots of different coaches in and around the setups that could add to a sort of a box setup. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to Forever Box as well, and we'll see you guys all very soon.